The scream of the wind drowned out the smaller cries first, and by the time anyone noticed, it was already too late. On the edge of a cold stone seawall, where waves smashed themselves into foam and salt hung thick in the air, a moment of cruelty unfolded that would change several lives forever. A wicker basket tilted, small bodies shifting inside it, and the sea waited below like an open mouth. No one there imagined that just a few seconds away, unseen and unknown, justice was already moving. If you believe stories like this matter, if you believe kindness and second chances can still change the world, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone you care about, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories of compassion reach further than cruelty ever could. The woman everyone in the coastal town feared walked with sharp heels and sharper eyes. The mistress's anger had burned hot and fast, and in her mind, the solution was as simple as the sea below. The maid's world had narrowed to fear and helplessness. Every step toward the seawall felt heavier than the last, as if the stones themselves knew what was coming. She had learned long ago that resistance only brought worse punishment. Bruises faded, hunger passed, but the humiliation stayed, nesting deep inside her chest. As the basket was thrust into her hands, she felt the fragile movement inside it, the warmth of small lives pressed together for comfort. Something inside her cracked then, not loudly, not dramatically, but enough to hurt. The ocean roared beneath them, gray and endless, indifferent to suffering. The mistress leaned forward, face tight with rage, and in one violent motion struck the maid again, forcing her closer to the edge. The puppies whimpered, sensing danger without understanding it. The maid reached out instinctively, her body moving before her mind could catch up, but fear rooted her feet. Years of obedience weighed more than the basket in her hands. She cried out, not in protest but in desperation, a sound torn from deep inside where hope had been buried. What none of them noticed was the man running hard along the coastal path behind them. He had been there for a training exercise, the kind that tested limits and sharpened instincts. Years as a Navy SEAL had taught him to read environments quickly, to spot wrongness before it fully revealed itself. His K-9 partner, muscles coiled and alert, had sensed it too. The sharp scent of fear, the unnatural tension in the air. When the man looked up and saw the scene unfolding ahead, his training snapped into purpose. The moment stretched thin as glass. The mistress's arm moved, the basket tipped, and gravity began to claim its prize. The puppies slid forward, their tiny bodies helpless against the pull. The maid screamed, a raw sound that cut through the wind, and reached out too late. In that same breath, the seal surged forward, every muscle firing, mind clear and focused. He did not hesitate, because hesitation had never saved anyone. The basket left the mistress's hand, and the sea rose to meet it. Before it could fall far, a powerful arm caught the handle, the sudden force jolting everyone into stillness. The impact dragged the man forward, boots scraping against stone, but he held fast. His K-9 lunged instinctively, bracing and anchoring, a living extension of discipline and trust. The puppies cried louder now, shaken but alive, pressed against the weave of the basket as it swung dangerously over the water. The maid collapsed to her knees, shock flooding through her body as realization dawned. The mistress recoiled, her authority cracking under the weight of interruption she had never expected. Around them, the world seemed to pause, the sea's roar fading beneath the pounding of hearts. With controlled strength, the seal pulled the basket back onto solid ground, shielding it with his body. He checked the puppies quickly, hands gentle despite the urgency, ensuring each small chest still rose and fell. What followed was not loud heroics or dramatic speeches. It was the quiet, unmistakable shift of power. The seal stood between the maid and her tormentor, his presence alone enough to redraw the boundaries of fear. The K-9 remained alert, positioned protectively, eyes fixed on the woman whose cruelty had finally been witnessed. For the first time, the mistress was not the most dangerous thing on the cliff. Authorities arrived soon after, called by others who had seen enough to break their own silence. The truth, long hidden behind wealth and intimidation, came spilling out. The maid's injuries were documented, her story finally heard. The puppies were wrapped in warm blankets, carried carefully away from the sea that had almost claimed them. As the mistress was led away, stripped of control she had abused for so long, the air felt lighter, as if the coast itself exhaled. For the maid, the days that followed were confusing and fragile. Freedom felt unreal, like a dream she might wake from at any moment. She was offered help, medical care, and a chance to start again far from the place that had held her captive. Healing did not come quickly, but it came honestly. Each small kindness, clean clothes, a safe room, a voice that asked instead of commanded, stitched something back together inside her. The puppies became a symbol of that healing. They survived, growing stronger under attentive care, their eyes opening to a world that had nearly ended before it began. The maid visited them often, her hands steadier each time she held them. In their warmth and trust, she found something she had lost, the ability to believe in gentleness without fear. The seal and his K9 returned to their duties, carrying the quiet weight of another life-altering moment. They did not seek praise, they rarely did. But somewhere deep inside, there was the knowledge that being nearby had mattered, that readiness had made the difference between tragedy and survival. For them, that was enough. As the weeks passed, the story spread, not as gossip, but as a reminder. It reminded people that cruelty often thrives in silence, and that courage does not always announce itself with fanfare. Sometimes it arrives running hard along a coastal path, guided by instinct, discipline, and a refusal to look away. If this story is touching your heart right now, if it's reminding you of the power one moment can hold, please take a second to engage with this video. Your likes, shares, and comments help stories like this reach people who need to hear them most. Before this video ends, we have one special request for you. Please comment below with a single word that represents what this story made you feel: hope, anger, relief, compassion, or something entirely your own. The sea still crashes against that seawall, indifferent as ever, but something important changed there that day. Lives that were meant to be discarded were saved, and a woman who believed herself untouchable learned she was not. More than that, a frightened maid discovered that the world could hold protectors as well as predators. In a place where cruelty expected obedience, courage answered instead, and for a brief, powerful moment, kindness proved stronger than fear.